Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Śrī Kṛṣṇa Bhagavatam, first canto. Okay, this is the Lord Śrī should be also. First canto, 6th chapter, and today we're looking at verse 32. Deva-dattām imāṁ vīṇāṁ svara-brahma-vibhūṣitām mūrcchayitvā hari-kathāṁ gāyamānaś deva-dattām imāṁ vīṇāṁ svara-brahma-vibhūṣitām mūrcchayitvā hari-kathāṁ gāyamānaś imāṁ deva-dattām imāṁ vīṇāṁ svara-brahma-vibhūṣitām mūrcchayitvā hari-kathāṁ gāyamānaś carāmy aham. Someone else, please. Is anybody online?
Deva-dattām imāṁ vīṇāṁ
Deva, Supreme Personality of Godhead, Śrī Kṛṣṇa,
mūrcchayitvā hari-kathāṁ
gifted by
gāyamānaḥ carāmy aham.
vīṇāṁ, a musical stringed instrument, svara, singing meter, brahma, transcendental, vibhūṣitām, decorated with mūrcchayitvā, vibrating, hari-kathāṁ, transcendental message, gāyamānaḥ, singing constantly, carāmy, do move, I, translation. And thus I travel constantly singing the transcendental message of the glories of the Lord, vibrating this instrument called a vīṇā, which is charged with transcendental sound and which was given to me by Lord Kṛṣṇa. Please repeat. And thus I travel constantly singing the transcendental message of the glories of the Lord, vibrating this instrument called a vīṇāṁ, which is charged with transcendental sound, and which was given to me by Lord Kṛṣṇa. Can you get me some water? Put it there. Thank you. So this is a purport by Śrīla Prabhupada, very interesting. Pay close attention. The musical stringed instrument called the vīṇā, which is handed to Nārada by Lord Śrī Kṛṣṇa, is described in the Liṅga Purāṇa, and this is confirmed by Jīva Gosvāmī. This transcendental instrument is identical with Lord Śrī Kṛṣṇa and Nārada because all of them are of the same transcendental category. Sound vibrated by the instrument cannot be material, and therefore the glories and pastimes which are broadcast by the instrument of Nārada are also transcendental without a tinge of material inebriety. The 7 singing meters, namely Sa, Satyam, Ra, Rishabha, Ga, Gandhara, Ma, Madhyama, Pa, Panchama, Ta, Daika, devotee of the Lord Śrī Nāradadeva is always fulfilling his obligation to the Lord for his gift of the instrument, and thus is always engaged in singing his transcendental glories, and is therefore infallible in his exalted position. Following in the footsteps of Śrīla Nārada Muni, a self-realized soul in the material world should also properly use the sound meters, namely svara-brahma-vibhūṣitām, etc., in the service of the Lord, by constantly singing the glories of the Lord as confirmed in Bhagavad-gītā. Why is it telling? If I ask you, why is it telling, what would you say? I'm making a bit of a joke, of course. Well, it's telling, it's all about music and sound. That's the point. It's all about transcendental sound. And the first thing that we may notice is that Prabhupada says that Narada Muni, Kṛṣṇa, and the vīṇā are all on the same time. They're on the same substance. They're on the same transcendental level. And that is a very interesting statement, and it's not easy to understand, because in our domain, inanimate objects are not alive, so they're not the same. Like the vīṇā I might have here is not necessarily a transcendental subject or object, depending on how I use it, or this microphone. But in the spiritual world, these are all transcendental objects, or actually subjects in a way. They're not even objects, because objects separate you from that substance, but then there is subject. They're all subjects. So, very, very interesting verse, and very interesting purports that Prabhupada you can say, is giving in the next few verses, because they are all, you can say, the essence of the Hare-Krishna movement. You might say in a way that our essence is like Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy, or whatever you want, or certain rituals, or certain standards we follow. But the essence is this. The essence is this singing the glory of the Lord. And this is the essence of the Hare-Krishna movement that originally attracted so many people. How come it became so famous? Even a group, I forgot what they were called, they were chanting the Hare-Krishna mantra. They made it very famous, again, very, very famous. Not just some of the Beatles, but some non-devotees chanted it. It became very famous, like a #1 bestseller. So, first of all, of course, the language, even though it is Sanskrit, it has a very charming a very charming feeling. And you hear it, because it's like you're hearing a secret that is revealed in public, and you can take to that secret and have access to it and utilize it. So this is what the mantra is. What does mantra literally mean? Etymologically, mantra. Yeah, it's releasing the mind. It releases tra, means to deliver. It delivers the mind from inebriety, because the mind, in our material three modes of nature position, is a material substance. It's fine. It's a fine substance. It's what you call sukshma. We have, what is opposite to sukshma? Opposite to sukshma. Stula. So stula are the gross elements, and sukshma are the fine elements. So the body is made out of stula. It's interesting that the word stu should also come from that, but that comes from Sanskrit, from stula. That means that which has substance, or appears to have substance, and it's visible to ordinary senses. And then the mind, which is not visible to ordinary vision, but it is understood by our own, you can say, if you're not a transcendentalist, you say it's understood by logic, and the mind itself reveals itself. But how do we see it? What reveals my mind? How do I know I have a mind? What is the Krishna conscious answer? It's my consciousness. When I'm not conscious, I don't know I have a mind. And people fall unconscious, their mind disappears. A blackout, we call it a blackout. See? So it's our consciousness that reveals the lower elements. And that is the whole point. And in samsara, we identify with those elements. In nirvana, we transcend them. And don't think nirvana is a bad word. Don't just apply it to the Buddhist or impersonalism. Nirvana means out of the woods. Vam means woods, forest, jungle. Nirvana means you've risen above this jungle. Samsara means everything is lumped together in this lower region. Nirvana means that you're out of that jungle. The Bhagavad-gītā uses the word quite a few times, but sometimes devotees have a prejudice for these terms, depending on how and where they've been used and who they have been listening to. So this transcendental sound lifts us out of samsara. And this is why Nārada Muni is traveling into an extra terrestrial and singing. So there's a few things I want to point out in this particular verse, because it could be controversial if it's not understood or explained or given a footnote. And one of them is, it says that the vīṇā was given to him by Lord Kṛṣṇa. Why would that be controversial? Anybody who's heard the katha in the last couple of weeks should know why. It says Narada, he had a vision of the Paramatma, and a voice came to him, and in the purport it explained this Kṛṣṇa, and Kṛṣṇa said, you'll never see me again. So how is it that Kṛṣṇa brings him personally a vīṇā? Please, can you understand it? So this, if you reading the verse properly in terms of the grammar, etc., and also read Prabhupada's purport with great attention, you can understand. First I read Prabhupada's purport that gives an idea of some of the secrets in this line. The musical instrument called the vīṇā, which was handed to Narada by Lord Śrī Kṛṣṇa, is described in the Liṅga Purāṇa, okay, and confirmed by Jīva Gosvāmī. Now why would Prabhupada mention this? Why doesn't he say the vīṇā was given by Lord Kṛṣṇa? That's it. Why does he say it's mentioned in the Liṅga Purāṇa and Jīva confirms it? Why would he say this? To clarify, because it's controversial. And it's not what it says in the Sanskrit. The Sanskrit says something a little bit different. It says that the gift that I received, imāṁ, this gift, it says deva-dattām, doesn't say Kṛṣṇa. Deva-dattām, this gift of the vīṇā, I travel with when I'm singing. Singing is a gerund, I'm singing, it's a gerund. So it says this gift I'm traveling with, this vīṇā I'm singing with. I travel. Do you understand what I'm saying? So the verse itself, it doesn't say that Kṛṣṇa gave it. But Prabhupada is always so kind that he gives additional information, often both in the verse and the purport. And of course, not everybody appreciates it. Some people say he interpolates, and others say even in his translation, he gives transcendental knowledge. He gives a quick insight because he knows. So he gives that insight. So here, right away, so there's no controversy. He says it's described in the Liṅga Purāṇa, and it's confirmed by Jīva Gosvāmī. Okay? So two Puranas describe how Nārada Muni got that instrument. And in the Liṅga, it says Kṛṣṇa gave it to him. In the other one, it says it was handed to him. And then there's very interesting stories that after he got the vīṇā, it says he was singing and practicing his music and doing all the scales and doing all the ragas and talas, but nobody's listening to him. Nobody has any interest in him. And then he thought, maybe I don't actually know how to play it. It's like, I know a person close to me who has no idea how to play the harmonium, but she presses the key, with any finger, and considers she plays the harmonium. It's ludicrous, and yet, of course, she's playing but that's not how you play the harmonium. So Narada Muni apparently was doing like this, and he finally, where did he go? He went to Dwarka. And who is teaching him? Krishna's wives. Jambavati, Rukmini, and one more wife is teaching him how to play the vīṇā. Then Krishna listens to the story. How do you like that? So we have to remember that Jīva Gosvāmī did all this research. Imagine if he had the research available today, you wouldn't even be able to read these scriptures. You open the top fabulous. You have only you have access to some books. You had to be physically there, and somebody had to bring them. They had to be readable, not covered in moss or spoiled by water or whatever fungus. See, so Jīva Gosvāmī has confirmed it, and as you know, Jīva Gosvāmī, as I pointed out many times, did research in all the different scriptures. Sarva Shastra said in the beginning, the 6 Goswamis, they studied Sarva Shastra to understand what is going on, not just Śrīmad Bhagavatam. Because the Śrīmad Bhagavatam, when it's taken out of context, sometimes you say, oh, it doesn't say that here, but it says in other Puranas. Then you can learn. This is also why, as we know, Saturday night we read in comment on Gopal Champu. Gopal Champu is a complete amalgamation of what Jīva Gosvāmī has understood about Krishna from the different Puranas, mostly Bhagavad-gītā, of course, but also some of the different Puranas. So very important that we should be aware of this. So the main theme in the first sentence of this purport is that animate and inanimate objects in the spiritual world are one and the same. So we have again, this is again confirmation of deva-dattām. Veda, those things are broken, objects separate, and aveda, non-dual. So we have both dual and non-dual. But in the spiritual world, that veda-aveda is, we see this from our point of view. Veda-aveda-tattva is from our point of view, because we are not self-realized. And we self-realize there's aveda. There's just, everything is one, but not in an impersonal way. That one plays millions of roles. Just like each one of us, we have our own spiritual DNA. We have our own bhav, our own, you would say, siddha swarup. We all have a unique siddha swarup, and nobody is the same as anybody else. So we're all in a similar, in the same place, deva-dattām, or we might be in Vaikuntha, but I hope not, in deva-dattām, and we have our own individual mood, and we do our own thing. So I was just reading a godbrother of mine who had access to darshan with Srila Bhaktisiddhanta's brother, Lalita Prasad. And Lalita Prasad was actually very different from his brother. His brother established 108 temples. He worked so hard, and in the end, he was all disappointed. He died unhappy. He said, take the marble off the walls and preach. He said, what is the use of this marble? The gāyamānaḥ was already breaking up, is fighting, because everybody wants a position in the mount. You see, everybody wants to sit on the high seat. So, but Lalita Prasad, his brother, never got involved. And he was sitting in bhajan all the time. And guess how old he became before he left his body? 102 years old. He became 102 years old. So you can see a completely different lifestyle. And my godbrother, just almost because, not by chance, Krishna arranged that he went to see him. And they had the most incredible conversations, especially in conversations far, you can say far superior to just understanding Bhagavad-gītā or understanding four regulated principles. Four regulated principles, elementary, very elementary. It's very essential, but it's elementary. Don't gamble. Who wants to gamble when you're absorbed in Krishna? Who wants to gamble? Nobody. Who wants to eat corpse? Nobody. Who wants to get intoxicated? Nobody. Who wants to be filled with lust? No one. Because all these disturb your bhajan. So he met him and they had a most incredible conversation as to what is your actually position in deva-dattām. Of course, we don't go there very much because it's such a high subject. There's no point in discussing it. But it is a topic. It is a topic. And in the beginning, when Prabhupada established the movement, and he would reveal, he would give little hints. And some of the devotees were, a little bit ahead of themselves, and they formed something called the Gopi Bhav Club. And because Prabhupada gave the idea that in Goloka Vrindavan we are in a feminine mood. We are followers of Radharani, we're followers of Radha's Sakhis, Lalita and Vishakha. So Prabhupada, of course, he gave that information. It's not like, if our teachings were not past Bhagavad-gītā, where would we be? Bhagavad-gītā is elementary, very elementary. And you can, of course, it's very high, but when I say elementary, it means the basis. It's like when you go to elementary school to learn 2 and 2 is 4, might be elementary, but without that, where will you be? So you start with the Bhagavad-gītā as it is. Of course, there's also a Bhagavad-gītā as it was, very interesting. Many Gītas are there. So Bhagavad-gītā as it is, Prabhupada has given the exact catechism of Bhagavad-gītā and then pointed us to Śrīmad Bhagavatam, which of course is quite amazing because he leads to the 10th canto, Intimate Pastimes of Radha and Krishna, where Krishna appears like ordinary human being. He's angry, he's tired, he's sleeping, he jokes, he says bad words in the what do you call it, in the hole in the ground, and they're laughing. He's like an ordinary person. Because if he was not like an ordinary person, how would we relate to him? We can't relate to God sitting on a throne with a long beard or whatever. How can we relate to that? Oh God, the Father right in heaven. There's no image, you see. But Śrīmad Bhagavatam gives a complete image of who is Krishna and completely identifies with human emotions. And this is why we have what you call the theory of ras. Ras means taste. Now, there's 12 major tastes. There's many minor tastes, 24 or so. So these major tastes are part of every ordinary person's consciousness. Joy, happiness, anger, misery, jealousy. Everything is there. If it's not there, how can we relate to God? So the 10th canto is giving this, and this first canto we only barely started, and it gives the introduction to who is Krishna, and more important than that, who are you vis-a-vis Krishna? Because if you don't know who are you vis-a-vis Krishna, there's nothing called Krishna consciousness. Krishna, yes, the subject or the object, but consciousness, meaning the consciousness of who is Krishna vis-a-vis me. And that is the whole, you could say, narrative of Nārada Muni. When his mother died, he went into, of course, he was a singer before, and he was, a little bit getting carried away by his position, fell down and was cursed, and became the son of a maidservant. And then again, he rises up, because he put his mind in a meditative form, and in that meditative form, he saw Paramatma. It says he meditated on Paramatma. And then he saw that absolute personality, and that personality spoke to him. So he is giving, you could say, a picture of what should be our sadhana. That's why our most important part of our day is really when we sit in meditation with our mana, we do our mana, we do our intense mana, and then we read in a platform where we can read different kahanis, and then sadhu sangha, we associate with devotees. Then we can do seva, but all of it is not like seva just by running to the temple and washing the dishes. It's not that is the highest thing. If we neglect our sadhana, our meditative sadhana, then after a while we become tired of all these other things. We've had tens of thousands of people washing dishes who we never see anymore. See? Because they felt abused, standing there for 3 hours and nobody cares. So, and so we appreciate everybody who does seva very much. They should be personally thanked on a very regular basis because they don't get paid. They're not paid servants. So then Prabhupada discusses a little bit. He calls it meter, but actually Prabhupada translated with svara as singing meter, but actually it's not a meter. Meter is tala. I'm sure you know that. Is tala. And svara is a note. When you translate it, it's a note. So these different notes are very similar. I mean, actually, they're far more esoteric than what we have in Western music. In Western music, we have C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, if you wish, in a simple key, major or minor. That's all we have, major or minor. But in Indian music, you have so many ragas. There's hundreds of ragas, and some of them are very prominent, and some of them, most of them relate to certain types of the day. Some are for 24 hours, but most of them are only apropos certain type of the day. So I was just looking at what is the song we sing first time of the day? Yeah, Samsara Davana, and I was looking at the raga. So that raga, forget exactly what it's called, but it's called Mishra Raja, Mishra Raja. And what does Mishra mean? Mixed, exactly, it's mixed. And in Western music, they call it Doric, because you have to remember, I grew up in Europe. I grew up with a harmonium. I grew up with music. And all the Christian songs that we learned, they had a mode, Doric, and so many other modes. So we weren't exactly sure what it meant, but it means the song is apropos for a certain type of the day. So this Mishra mode of samsara davanala, you local guess what it means. It means, now you see it, now you don't. The sun is rising. It means little dark, a little light, little dark, a little light. So exactly apropos for the time of day. So this is the raga of samsara davanala. Of course, you might also know, if you've been in ISKCON long enough, there's two different melodies they sing. Some start with samsara davanala loka. And another one is, forget, but it goes down. It goes down. So they're completely different ragas. And they evoke different moods. You know, the first one is very uplifting because it's a sunrise. The other one is more like the sun is not yet risen, you see. So that is why this mode of Mishra is there, is mixed. And just in or everything we do that we've learned in, let's say, in ISKCON or in Gaudiya Vaishnavism, it has so much deep meaning. Often we don't even know the meaning. We don't know the meaning. But it is revealed when we attentively study the scriptures. So Prabhupada here, I very seldom hear him talk about music, and that he gives it, and also he repeats basically what he says, but in a different way. He says, namely, singing meters. It's of course, again, not the meters, but the notes. Sa, Sajya, Ra, Rishava, Ga, Gandhara, Ma, Madhyama, and Pa, Panchama, Da, Daivatā, and Ni, Nishida. So we've talked about it many times. The most important note, which is it? I've mentioned it almost in all of my talks. First, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. Which one? Which one? No, you failed again. Panchama, the fifth note. What did you say, fifth? Oh, I thought you said sixth. Yeah, it's the fifth note. So the fifth note is the main, when you want to harmonize with the tonic, the first note, then the fifth note is the main interval that creates harmony. The third, let's say C, D, E, is the third note, and it has a somewhat transcendental or static interval. And then the fifth, all desires fulfilled. There's a phrase in Sanskrit, all desires desires fulfilled. Actually, this very great Dutch Sanskritist, somebody died, he went to, studied in the United States and in Oxford and so on, and he died suddenly. But he what was I going to say about him? Oh yeah, he wrote it, the last chapter he wrote before he died is All Desires Fulfilled in Sanskrit. He translated Mahabharata, I don't know how many sections. Very incredible. He suddenly died. He took a minor operation, he died, you know. So, all desires fulfilled. So, this is the mood that when we take to Krishna consciousness, that all desires are fulfilled. Even on elementary levels. Like when you first come, you hear singing, you get beautiful food, everybody's laughing, and they say, come and listen. Then, suddenly you feel that you've met your family. You think, ye log mero parivar hai, or my, what do you call it, neighbor? Padoshi, or mero padoshi hai. And then you're finding your people, you see. Of course, then if you're fortunate, then you can move through, like myself, almost 50 years of association without taking too much offense, because some of the things that are going on are a little bit hard to take. But if you take to the essence, then you're delighted and you hear Narada Muni singing. And what I wanted to mention is also, I almost forgot, can you imagine? I almost forgot, look, who is this? What's upside down? Who is this? There's Narada Muni, it's on my altar. So this Narada Muni is my family member. And I follow Narada Muni. So Narada Muni, there was Prabhupada was in one temple, and he said, let me see if I can put it. Prabhupada said, please put a small seat on the altar and put Narada Muni there, because he's accompanying all our kirtans. And I don't see it anywhere. I look to see which temple is Narada Muni, I don't see any. Oh, yeah, this is true. So it doesn't matter. There he is, up, and it was painted by Vishnu Das. This is the whole thing. Vishnu was very alert to all of these things. So Narada Muni, Prabhupada wanted him to be in every temple. So I wanted to bring him today. Did you see what I showed you? Very good. He looks completely, like you can relate to him. So he then goes around the world and sings. He also makes problems. He reveals things that create kind of, you can say, a situation that demands a denouement or a happy ending. So something creates chaos, but in the end, there's always a happy ending. So this is the mood of Narada Muni. And he's there now. And like Prabhupada says, he comes and sits. Many times Prabhupada said, when there's virtually no one in the audience, he says, what do you mean no one? All the devas are there. And I myself laugh, like, I cannot tell you how many times I've sat here and there is no one here. And even before COVID, I used to come from Victoria, all the way from Victoria, I come to Bhagavad-gītā class, there is no one here. It's not just COVID that eliminated our audience. There's no interest, you see. So, those of you who have an interest and who actually cultivate an interest are very fortunate, because unless we are a little bit serious about Krishna consciousness, we cannot make progress. And if you don't make progress, what happens? After you drop out. Like most people that joined ISKCON, they've dropped out. Most people, they drop out. They say, oh, well, whatsoever, you see. But when we develop a keen interest, and be feeling a sense of joy. It's not that you say, oh, I have to suffer for Krishna. No, you don't have to suffer. You don't have to suffer at all. The only thing that suffers is your mind. Because you're putting your mind down. Your mind is going down because your mind is an obstacle. It can be used. When you use it in terms of intelligence, it can be properly used. I say, what do I say? I say, oh yeah, I use the term logic. It's only logical to assume that there's something higher than logic. So I take out logic with the very same needle of logic, you see. So it is only logic. Called there's something higher than logic. And logic obviously is the taste for non-bhadyam. The desire for actual close association. And that is the whole point. We come to the temple to see Krishna, of course, and we can relate to Krishna because Krishna's deity is not different from Krishna himself. But who can see this? Who can see it? You see, Prabhupada says one time when everybody wanted to go in Vrindavan to do the darshan of all the temples, Prabhupada said, why do you want to do darshan? And they said, Prabhupada, we want to see the deities. And what did Prabhupada say? You cannot see the deity. And they all looked, the eyes became big. And Prabhupada said, the deity sees you. So I sometimes say that to people going in and out of the temple. I said, what did you do? They say, oh, I saw the deity. I said, you cannot see the deity. And they look offended and say, the deity sees you. And then they laugh. Because that is the realization. Krishna sees you. So you say, Krishna, I can't see you. But I think you can see me. Because you're God and I don't know who I am. You see, man on whom. So, the sense of humor is there. Just like, see, you smile. I tell you, Krishna consciousness is simply humor. If you don't understand, like Hasya Ras, one of the rasas, is throughout all the rasas, especially Madhurya Ras, there's nothing but laughter. In Sakhya Ras, there's nothing but laughter. Now, when you're the servant, there's not much laughter, because if you serve and you're laughing, hey, you're going to get fired. You know, like I told you, I was married to an Indian husband for many years. We lived in India. We had a house. We had servants. If they didn't treat us properly, they would be gone in one day. They would also, the servants, but I didn't know from the West, the servants, when they would take their meal, guess how they would sit to take their meal? Facing the wall. They would sit back in the house, facing the wall, and eat their food stuff. But when we were gone, and if suddenly we came home, guess where they are? They're lying on our sunscreen beds. They're lying, they're lying on our beds, the servants. They would be unhappy if you caught them. So that's not the part we can play. We have to play the part Sakhya Ras, Madhurya Ras, the highest Ras, Madhurya Ras, Vatsalya, and then, as some of the sages say, they say, then in Shantaras, everything calms down. At night you go to sleep, you're all calm, the fountain is stopped rising, Shanti, Shanti, like it says in Bhagavad-gītā. How shall there be happiness without peace? Very important, one of the virtually last verses of the second chapter. How shall there be happiness without peace? So you can have all this sukha and no dukkha, but if you have no peace, it's also too much. You don't go to a party 12 hours a day. You go to a party, kutsune. No, kutsune. One party, one birthday, one wedding, one divorce, kutsune. So speak. What time is it? 8 minutes left. So it's perfect. So my point is that if you're reading the next two purports are so beautiful too. Prabhupada is coming about our natural psychology, and I really like that. And Prabhupada says thinking, feeling, and willing. That's our natural psychology.